Very good evening. Jai Shri Krishna Guru. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita Satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha, Om Shri Ganeshaya Namaha, Om Shri Saraswataya Namaha, Om Shri Guru Dattatreya Namaha, Om Shri Mahalakshmi Namaha. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwaraha, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. So we'll be beginning with a new chapter, that is chapter 8, the Yoga of the Indestructible Brahma. And we will be learning today about answer to Arjuna's 7 questions on Brahma, Adhyatma and Karma, that is action. So let us begin chapter 8, verse 1. Arjuna said, Krishna, what is that Brahma? Absolute. What is Adhyatma? Spirit. And what is Karma? Action. What is called Adibhuta, which is matter, and what is termed as Adidaiva, that is divine intelligence. Krishna, who is Adi Yajna here, and how does he dwell in the body? And how are you to be realized at the time of death by those of steadfast mind? I think these are the very important questions for especially those who are the spiritual aspirants who want to attain the divine Lord. And this is the question that should come to all of us. And when we understand the truth about all that Arjuna is asking here to Lord Shri Krishna, then we will also be able to redeem ourselves. So I'm going to repeat the questions once again, and then let us learn from Lord Shri Krishna what is the answer that he is going to give to Arjuna. Arjuna said, Krishna, what is that Brahma which is absolute? Because see, in the last chapter, Lord Shri Krishna has explained to Arjuna about Brahma, about the Adibhutas, the Adi Adhyatma, Adi Yajna, everything. But still he wants to understand in detail what it is all about and how, especially to, attain the divine Lord. How do you think of him at the time of death? Those are the very important questions, because man only thinks about not the God at the time of the death. He's thinking about some material worldly stuff, which is why we get into the karmic death. We have a rebirth. We keep taking on different bodies, birth after birth, birth, death cycle. So how do we overcome all of this is Arjuna's question. So let me read this once again for you. Arjuna said, Krishna, what is that Brahma? Absolute. What is Adhyatma? Spirit. And what is Karma? Action. What is called Adibhuta? Matter. And what is termed as Adidaiva? Divine intelligence. Krishna, who is Adi Yajna? And here and how does he dwell in the body? And how are you to be realized at the time of death by those of steadfast mind? Absolutely. So let us now hear what Lord Shri Krishna is going to tell Arjuna. Shri Bhagavan said, the supreme indestructible is Brahma. The supreme indestructible is Brahma, one's own self, the individual soul, is called Adhyatma, and the primal resolve of God, Visarga, which brings forth the existence of beings, is called Karma, action. So what did Lord Shri Krishna tell Arjuna? Shri Bhagavan said, the supreme indestructible is Brahma. Something that you can't destroy. Indestructible means what? You can't burn it with fire. You can't, you can't destroy it by taking a gun and shooting at it. You can't do anything. You can't kill it with a knife. So the supreme indestructible means it cannot be destroyed at all. Is Brahma. Brahma means what? It's an unmanifest, which means something that you can't touch, feel. You can't, you can't exactly in accurate words describe what is Brahma. Brahma has to be experienced, and in that experience you will also get dissolved. That is why we say unmanifest. Brahma, which is there, the absolute, it is always there, it is eternal, it is existing at all times. But you can't understand it using your mind, the body, the senses, and even with the three gunas. Nothing. You can't use your intelligence also to understand Brahma. So the supreme indestructible is Brahma, which is one's own self, the individual soul. One's own self. The self here is the higher self. It is not the lower self. Lower self is what? It's our ego, mind, and everything else. But the higher self is this individual soul. We say it is Jiva. But this Jiva is not in, there is no individual soul. There is only one Atma, Jivatma, which is none other than Paramatma. But the identity that I am, that ego, the I with the Atma, I am that Atma, the identity makes you think you are an individual soul. So here the Lord is saying it's one's own self. But how do you realize this self? We keep saying, be your good self. What does good self mean? That is your divine self, which is what you truly are. But we forget our true self because of the body that we have donned. We have our, the three gunas, the mind, the senses, and the intellect. So all these things makes us forget the true self. But to understand the true self, you have to go beyond your lower nature, and you have to always be in the higher nature. Today my Guruji had written a very beautiful post on Facebook. He says, we all have the demonic qualities and the divine propensities, but we always choose to be demonic in nature. When we get angry, we get upset, we show our greed, lust, all those evil tendencies. We hate somebody, we slander people, we do all sorts of things, we hurt someone. All those demonic qualities, we bring forth it. It is very easy to become evil, but to being true, divine, the true self, the divine qualities has to be always followed. And that is why we refer to it as your good self. The self S here is capital S, the higher self, the supreme self. So what does that mean? Which means you have to always be good to everybody, be compassionate, be kind, be loving, caring. In fact, we will be doing what are the divine dispositions or the divine qualities and the demonic propensities in every human being. We will be learning about this in chapter 16, in which Lord Sri Krishna has very beautifully outlined each of these qualities that we have to live and practice to understand our true self. It is not so easy to understand that divine self. Why? Because we always become petty, we become greedy, we show our inadequacies, we feel we have a lot of limitations, we don't respect our own self, we think bad about ourselves. Forget about thinking bad about the world, we also don't think good about ourselves at all. So first we have to overcome this demonic dispositions within us, the evil propensities or the evil qualities which is there. And once you overcome, so once you start practicing, then only you will be able to understand your higher self. So here, and one's own self, okay, the individual soul is called Adhyatma. So Adhyatma, what does it mean? Adhyatma means your spirit, the spiritual self. That is who you truly are. See, the word spiritual or spirituality means to understand and realize that I am the spirit, I am not this body. I am not who I think, the small person that I am. I have my own weaknesses, we have our own inadequacies. I am not that. That is what is important to realize. So one's own self, the individual soul is Adhyatma, individual soul. So to realize that I am not this body, I am the divine self. So first you have to start practicing to follow the good qualities. See, today, thanks to pandemic, post-pandemic era, people have become, listless, directionless. They have become depressive. Anxiety is killing them. They don't know what they are supposed to do. Sometimes they're rude. They don't know how to speak nicely. Why is all these things happening? Because most important is there is no control over ourself. We say there is no control over ourself. The individual self, which is the lower self. Then how do you go to your higher self to understand that the higher self is nothing but it is called the Adhyatma. That is the realization you need. Why do we study Adhyatma? Is to realize my true self, the higher self. That is why we study this. But to understand that, first you have to give up your lower nature. And that is something we don't give up. On the contrary, we become very bad. We misbehave. We are not truthful in this world. We are not honest. We are not sincere about anything. We are filled with inertia, lethargy, laziness. You name all the qualities of tamo guna. That is the last aspect of the Kali Yuga. Tamas is filled with us. Why does that happen? Why are we allowing that to get into us? Because we don't put self effort. We are not disciplined. It all begins with how do you want to live in this life? Live in this life. That is what Lord Shri Krishna is talking about, the way of life, which is nothing but how do you live like Lord Shri Krishna. What does it mean to be your good self? It all comes back to self, good self, because your self is divine and it has all the divine qualities. Simply because we don't have the understanding, we use only our lower nature. We allow it to come forth constantly. You see, when we go outside, last week, this very interesting example that came about. We went to hospital. I was taking this body's parents to hospital and realized the hospital was closed. And then we went to another laboratory, lab, to get the test done. And over there, what I experienced was all chaos. And nobody is bothered about another human being. They're least bothered, saying there are old people, these patients, you need to hurry up because they are fasting and they need to have their medicine, they need to eat their breakfast. But the person was very careless, least bothered. Our attitude is, I don't care about. We have lost being human. Why? We're not having compassion and kindness towards another human being. We're so focused on ourselves. That is what Kali Yuga does. Kali Yuga it's driving towards the destruction, but doesn't mean you have to become like that. You can rise above. That is what Adhyatma teaches. That is what the higher self teaches. When you realize that, you understand who you truly are, the divine self, and then you're not going to behave like anybody else. My Krishna Guruji will always teach all of his disciples and devotees one very important lesson, and which is, he says, you be your good self. The other person is allowed to behave however they want because they are ignorant beings. They go by their nature. Their nature is what is driving them. So they're anyways going to behave in that manner. But why are you doing the same thing? Because you have the knowledge, you are reading Bhagavad Gita, those who are listening, those who are expounding, it includes me as well. Because I need to walk the talk that I am studying, that I am learning, that I am teaching. If I don't set myself as an example, then what about the world? Like my Guruji is the greatest example. He lives and breathes these lessons. He is the divine Lord himself. So if I don't learn, if I don't practice, then what is the point in this knowledge? So this is not for everyone in the world. It is for those who believe in this truth, those who are the devotees of the divine Lord, those who are here for a good cause. There's a purpose that why we have taken this human body. And those who want to attain the spiritual wheel, we have to live these lessons. And if we don't live this lesson, there is no point in learning. So, my Guruji's simple explanation was, see, the world is disrupted. There is chaos and confusion in the world. That is how it is going to be. But you don't have to succumb to it. You don't have to become like them. On the contrary, having the knowledge, you have to always be compassionate and kind towards these people. It's okay. You don't lose your cool. There's no point in getting angry over things. Anger doesn't, provide solutions. Anger is not solving anything. On the contrary, it's going to affect my own health. So why bother getting angry? On the contrary, have the patience to see how you can sort out an issue. This is what my Guruji will teach. So being your good self is what will give you that understanding of who this true divine self is. So that is what you have to evolve on. So let us continue. And the primal resolve of God, Visarga, which brings forth the existence of beings, is called karma, action. What is he saying? What does action mean? And the primal resolve of God, which is Visarga, which brings forth the existence of beings, is called karma or action. We say from the passive came up the active. So Purusha and Prakriti, active and passive principle. So Purusha is always passive. He's not the doer. But Prakriti is the doer. The creation came forth from her. She came from Purusha. From Prakriti came about the entire creation. And Prakriti is the doer, which is all about karma, which is action. So what does that tell us? It tells us that it is the active and it's the passive and the active principle. And Prakriti is the active principle who's always going to be performing an action. The world is going to be created. It's going towards its own cycles. It's already programmed, and we are a part of this entire creation. And karma, which means every body that is created, every body has to perform its duties, prescribed duties. In fact, we have learned that in earlier chapters, and even Lord Shri Krishna will be talking in further chapters in Bhagavad Gita as we go along, where he's going to say we all have to perform the prescribed duties. In, I think, chapter 3, if I'm correct, Lord Shri Krishna tells Arjuna, born out of Kshatriya Dharma, you have to perform your duties as a warrior, which is to fight. And Arjuna can't tell, I am not going to fight. Recently, I was doing a very beautiful verse, again that's on Karma Yoga, from Jnaneshwari. In that, Lord Shri Krishna says, even if somebody thinks, I am not going to do anything and just sit like that, it is not going to work. Whether anybody likes it or not, it has to perform its prescribed duties. And that is how the Divine Lord has programmed. So who are we to say, I don't want to do, I don't like this, I am not going to work, I am not going to fight the war, like what Arjuna is saying. Nobody has a choice. And even, when you have taken a birth as this body, at least you have to eat, right? Your body has to be fed. So you can't say, I'm not going to eat. So that is at least that basic action you're going to be anyways performing. So where is the question of saying, I'm not going to perform any action at all? It doesn't help. It doesn't help anybody. So Lord Shri Krishna says, so why, think like I can just sit and do nothing? It's never going to happen. So you better do what you are supposed to do, even whether you like it or not. That is why Lord Shri Krishna taught Arjuna a very important lesson, and that is called equanimity of mind. Don't be bothered about, I like this, I don't like this. Some days I feel excited, some days I feel completely dejected. Some days I feel I'm so happy, on other times I feel sad. This pairs of opposites is what we have to give up. Until we don't give up, you are always going to be in that state of conflict. Oh, I like, I don't like, I love, I hate. We're always going to be this in yo-yo. And that is not going to help anybody in evolving ahead on the path. So give up that understanding that you cannot, that I will not perform this action. It's not going to happen. So coming back, he says, and the primal resolve, it's saying resolve of God, which is Visarga. Visarga is like the vastness. It's a resolve of God, which brings forth the existence of the beings. It's the resolve of the gods which bring forth the existence of these beings, is called karma, which is action. So let us continue. All perishable objects are adibhuta. All perishable objects are adibhuta. What does that mean? Which is born of Prakriti, adibhuta, which is, it's come from the elements, and it is anyways going to be destroyed at the end of the day. Anything that is created will be destroyed. So why are we thinking that, oh, I can be immortal? Immortality doesn't exist. We are all mortal beings. So anyways, we are created and we have to perish one day. Perish in the sense it has to be destroyed. It has to go back in the elements. So what happens? We are born, and it's Prakriti, this entire creation is created out of the elements, and when you die, you go back into the elements, right? But we think, oh no, I can live, I can do this. Man has this very weird way of looking at life, and unfortunately, because of that ignorance and lack of understanding, he thinks there is a lot of time in hand. He wants to make all the wealth in the world. He thinks that the destiny can be, defined by him. He can make his own destiny. I've seen people saying these words, I write my own destiny. See, when we say the words, I write my own destiny, means what? It means, in the spiritual context, that if I do good karma, my future lives will always bear the same fruits, the fruits of goodness. But if I am doing any the wrong actions or bad karma, then I have to repay that in my future birth. So it's as simple as that. So that is what it means by I write my destiny. What kind of life I want to have depends on the way I live now. And one very important lesson my Krishna Guruji will keep teaching all of us is that, see, today when you are good, today when you do the right things, today when you follow the path, your future lives are going to be better. Why do you want to live the same kind of a miserable life or worse life than what you are living today? Why are you sanctioning that for yourself? So who can define the destiny? So destiny, when you say I can write my own destiny, that is what it means. But please understand, destiny still is not in anybody's hand, because it's a program thing, and our destiny plays out because of our previous lives, birth, many births of ours. Whatever the karma that we have committed, we have to repay in each birth. Since we don't have the knowledge about our previous lives and the kind of karma that we have committed, we think we are very good people. In this life, whatever actions we're doing, right or wrong, it's all determined. It's because it is programmed. The only way to overcome the destiny, when you say I can write my destiny, when you overcome the destiny, is by listening to the words of the Guru. The Guru's instruction will help you rewrite your destiny. That is what can happen. But nobody can change the destiny. Please remember, there is no Lord on earth can change your destiny. The power is not there within anybody. But your Guru has the power to destroy that karma and override the destiny, provided you listen to him. But the human beings will not listen to him. That is the problem. When your Guru says, don't do this, the Guru Agya, the instruction of your Guru is not followed. Today my Guruji has written a very beautiful post, and in that he has given some very important lesson. And the lesson is this: he doesn't stop anybody or interfere in anyone's destiny. In the sense, he doesn't stop anyone from performing their actions. He's only going to give you the knowledge, saying, if you do this action, the outcome is going to be this. It's not a righteous action. Don't get into it. But when somebody doesn't listen to your instructions of the Guru or the words of the Guru and goes and commits the same action, you're going to face the repercussions of that. Then destiny has actually played out, because you did not listen to your Guru. Who is the Guru? Guru Sakshat Parabrahma. The Divine Lord himself is the Guru, and he has the power to change your life. Provided you are so devoted to him, you listen to him and follow exactly what he says. But a man doesn't want to do that. He challenges destiny, and then he gets into the rut. Then what happens? You are actually sanctioned more karma for yourself. You have committed a sin against your Guru, the God himself. Do you think his universe will spare you? Of course not. You are not only going to be suffering for those actions, but the wrath of his Mother Nature is going to be tremendous. So the same things that you have committed against him, you're going to repent all your life. So why does a human being doesn't listen? Because he thinks his mind is greater. He's always thinking that his worldly parents, he has to perform his duties because he's committed to them, whatever that he might think. But please remember, at the end of the day, all the things that you said you're not going to do, you're anyways going to do. Because that is what the Divine Lord has written. It is permanent. You can't erase that. You can say no, you can deny, you can say all that you want, but at the end of the day, you will still have to perform the same action which you have denied. And when you perform at that time, you will incur karma. It's not going to be selfless action. It's not going to be nishkam karma. At that time, it is going to be action which is going to cause you, the sins. It's going to come with that karmic bondage. That is what will happen. So it is very important to understand there is no use of whatever we say, oh, I want to become this, I want to become that. It doesn't help. And so the point I was trying to teach here is that the Divine Lord doesn't interfere in anybody's karma. He can only tell you don't do. And if you follow that instruction, you're not going to suffer. and he will take care of it. But if you don't listen to him and you end up doing the same action which you are not supposed to do, then he cannot save you. But please remember, if you're the devotee of the Lord, at the end of the day, you're still going to do the same things which you have denied the Lord, but maybe at a much later time. The Lord is very compassionate. He still tries to save you. He tries to save all of us, but we don't value that. We don't see it. We all think that whatever we are doing is a great thing. We are doing something very, we are doing a big favor to the Divine Lord. That is how a human being thinks. That is our petty nature. So please don't be under this impression. Or when some people think, oh, I'm in spiritual, I'm doing this. You're in spiritual so that you can redeem yourself. You're not doing a favor to others by being in spiritual. Do you understand? Nobody is doing a favor by coming into spiritual, because people think, oh, they've done a big favor to the Guru and to God by being in spiritual. No, you're actually doing a favor for yourself, because you're redeeming yourself from all the sins you have committed until that date in many lives of yours. And you don't even know how many millions or billions of lives you have already been born, and the kind of karmas you have accumulated over a period of time. And that number cannot be known by anybody except the Divine Lord. It's a very complex subject. Karma itself is a very complex subject. Like in Sai Baba's Poti, Baba has said to everybody, when people have asked him about karma, he says, karma can never be understood by anybody, and the Guru is never even going to explain to you the implications of the karma, because it's a subject which is beyond a human mind's ken and understanding. So the Guru is not going to give you the in-depth understanding. He's going to give you a basic understanding, like how a 5-year-old can understand. That is all he'll give you. And you just need to listen to that and walk that path. So don't be under the impression that anybody is doing a favor by either being in spiritual or listening to the instructions of the Lord or the Guru. See, he's never going to interfere. At the end of the day, he says, if you want to go and, fall in that ditch, be my guest. Because that is your karma. Why will the Lord interfere in your karma if you don't care to listen? So these are the things that you need to understand. So no matter whatever it is, everything that is created is anyway going to be destroyed. It is perishable. So what are you running after? Ask this question yourself. The next is, the shining Purusha is the Brahma. The shining Purusha is the Brahma. From the unmanifest is born the manifest. So Prakriti is born from Purusha. So Purusha is unmanifest. That is the Brahma himself. So the shining Purusha, Brahma, is Adidaiva. Adidaiva means what? He is the supreme divine being, the unmanifest. And in this body, I myself, dwelling as the inner witness, I am Adi Yajna, O Arjuna. Oh wow, how beautiful it is. What is he saying? And in this body, I myself, dwelling as the inner witness, am Adi Yajna, O Arjuna. So Lord Shri Krishna is very clearly telling here, I am the indweller in everybody. He's saying the myself is the capital, I myself. And in this body, I myself, dwelling as the inner witness. He dwells as just the inner witness. So please remember, the Divine Lord is just a witness. And he's only a witness for every situation. He's never going to act on anything. So this is what you have to become. Witness everything. Don't involve yourself in any karmic bondage with anybody. When you understand the truth, you will just perform your duties born of this bodily karma, and you will just surrender to the Divine Lord and follow exactly whatever the Divine Lord instructs you to do, which is the Guru. And then you will just do that action. And when you perform nishkama karma, then there is nothing to be worried about. But the problem is, a human being doesn't perform nishkama karma. Means selfless action is never going to happen. For that you have to reach a state which is very evolved in nature. You have to evolve beyond the mundane human lower nature, your lower self. And when you reach that state, then you will perform the nishkama karma. Otherwise, a man does two important things when he's performing karma. One is, he's going to feel the sense of doership. like I did this is going to be there. And the second other important thing which you're not supposed to do also comes in, which is, you're attached to the fruits of the action. The end result is what you're attached to. So those two things happen. And then when that happens, there is no selfless action a man performs. So here, please understand, the Lord is very clearly telling that the shining Purusha is Brahma, is Adidaiva. That is the Adi, the supreme divine being. And in this body, in this body, in the sense in every body, I myself, who is this I? The Lord Shri Krishna, dwelling as the inner witness. He's only a witness. He's not connected to anything that you're doing. He's only a dwelling as an inner witness. I am Adi Yajna, O Arjuna. Adi Yajna is what? The divine intellect, that knowledge, which is that I am the divine being. Adi Yajna. The knowledge about the divine being. He's the supreme self. And this is what you have to understand. And when you realize this, then you're not going to suffer. You're not going to be attached to anything that is happening around. You will not say it is my mother, my father, my brother. You're not going to get attached or get into bondage with anybody. You know the truth, and you're only going to do your actions, which is coming to you naturally, born of your the body that you have done. It's got to be performing the duties of born out of its karma, and that is exactly what you will perform. And when you have the Guru and the Divine Lord with you, you're not even going to be worried about. You will just exactly follow the instructions of the Divine Lord, the Guru himself, and then whatever that you have to do will happen on its own. You just become the tool in the hands of the Divine Lord. And when you become that, then you already attained the divine self, and in which there is always Satchidanand, which is Sat is the truth which you realize. Chit is the knowledge, the truth about who you are, and Anand, you're always going to be in your blissful state. So with that, we will end our satsang here, and we'll continue from the next verse in our next satsang. Thank you for joining the Bhagavad Gita satsang, the way of life as described by Lord Shri Krishna to Arjuna. Om Shri Mahaganapate Namaha, Om Shri Gurudev Datta, Om Shri Sachidananda Sadguru Sainath Maharaj Ki Jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Digambara Digambara, Shripaad Vallabha Digambara. Om Shri Krishna Gurunathanataya, Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Devi Durgaya Namaha, Om Shri Krishna Arpanam Namastu. Krishnam Vande Jagat Gurum.